Aleema Khan, welcome to the world.
Thank you.
Now, you visited your brother Imran Khan in prison yesterday. Can you tell us what's his condition and what he's had to say?
Well, actually, he was fine. We asked him, and he said he had been exercising. Plus, he was fine with his. He was sort of put in solitary for about 3 days, most probably when there was a protest in Islamabad. But he was getting his exercise, and he was fine with his. He never talks about his food much. It's only always our concern that he should be careful when they give him the food. But what they had taken away for all these days was his newspaper and the one Pakistan television station that he gets. Although it's a government channel, but he still can get some news. But for the past 9 days, he had absolutely no news of what had happened outside.
So, Aleema, what did he have to say about the events of November 26 with the protests?
When you don't have any information for 8-9 days, he was absolutely shocked to hear about the massacre that happened. The fact that our security forces fired on unarmed civilians who had come to protest. For what? I would like to point out, I know you started from that point, but you have to understand what the protest was for. It was for he had a 3-point agenda, Imran Khan. One was releasing all the innocent prisoners. There are hundreds of them incarcerated in jails. He said release of the political prisoners. Second was for return of the stolen mandate from the 8th February election. On the 9th, most of their mandate was stolen and distributed amongst the other parties. And that is a fair demand. And the third one was for the rule of law, because of the way they are trying to manipulate the judicial system and the Supreme Court, basically subjugating the Supreme Court. So these were his 3 demands. And he said for the protest, he said, if you want to show goodwill, then you should release all the political, illegally incarcerated prisoners. People started coming up to us and saying there's snipers sitting on top of the buildings, and people started dying. I remember asking a lot of the young people, don't go ahead, don't go further than where we are standing. Why are you going there? They said, well, we are not going to go back without Imran Khan, and we don't care about sniper rifles. So it became a very difficult situation. But later at night, there was a full-fledged operation onto these roads from the side roads. And they were like, it was a massacre. It was literally a massacre of protesting people, who did absolutely nothing but sit on the roads. So he was told about that, and he was very disturbed and very shocked, actually. For him to digest that after being incarcerated for so many days, like without information, was very, very tough. I mean, I felt bad that he had to deal with this within, we don't have that much time there in the courtroom, in the jail courtroom. So there was no long discussion. It had to be like point wise and very quickly. And he was very upset. And he said there should be, there should be a case registered against the Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, and the Interior Minister, Mohsin Naqvi.
Aleema, I do have to ask you, though, how could Mr. Imran Khan have been so shocked when he himself had made this final call issue on November the 13th?
He was not shocked about the protest. He was shocked about innocent people being sort of shot at, sniper rifles being used against protesters. And then there a full-fledged operation in which there are dozens of people who've been killed.
This is quite the claim, because we have not seen any reports of that. You were talking about this night raid later in those events, and you were describing them as a massacre. Based on your estimation or the party's estimation, how many people might have been killed?
So you should look at some of the videos, and you should see where the dead bodies are lying on the roads, and then you see where are they now. I mean, these are not sort of artificial intelligence. These are actual stories of people. There are a couple of videos. There is a video of a person praying on the container, and these 3 personnel come and they throw him off the container. They hang him off the 2 double-story container and they throw him down. There's video evidence of people being shot. And it's like you can't deny video evidence. These are not cooked up stories. And where are the bodies? If there were so many people that you see in the videos that are dead, where are the bodies? If you see, the reason I'm on Australian channel, let me tell you why. Australia is also a member of the Commonwealth. And I was like, if you look at the charter of the Commonwealth, it says one of the first things is that we share democracy, like shared values. One of the first item is democracy. Second one is human rights. And the third one is rule of law. These are exactly the 3 points that Imran Khan came out for the protest. This is not a terrorist attack on Islamabad. These were people asking for their rights. So, as a country that shares values on these 3 items, what's the point of being part of a community if the community doesn't sort of stand up for its member states? We are trying to stand up for our rights, and look what happens. So when this happens, we look forward to the fact that the Australian High Commissioner over here will give some information to their government, and we would hope that the people of Australia will also understand that as a community, we should stand up for each other's challenges.
Who do you think was behind the actions against the protesters, the army, the military, the police? We did hear that there were gunfires, guns being fired, shots being fired, rubber bullets, live rounds, and tear gas as well. Who do you think was sort of behind this? Are we looking at the Prime Minister himself, or was it the military leadership?
We have a Prime Minister. What do we have him for then? I mean, the military is under the Prime Minister, correct? And there's an Interior Minister. And there's an Army Chief. This is the 3 people that are responsible for this. And it was a military unit.
And do you think, historically, though, the military has been a very powerful force in Pakistan with multiple coups? Where do you see the military fitting into all of this?
We have had 3 coups in the history of Pakistan. If you look at our history books, this has never happened, even in the coups. Even in the martial laws, this has never happened. This is the worst thing, the worst experience Pakistan has ever had of shooting your own people in the middle of Islamabad, I suppose. On the borders, maybe it's a different situation. But right in the middle of the capital, where there were over 100,000 people sitting on the roads in the middle of night in the black, all lights turned off.
Aleema, you yourself spent weeks in prison along with your sister Uzma. What was your experience during incarceration?
Prison was a prison, I suppose, and it was clean, and we were in isolation, no information again. But what they did to my brother Imran during that time was terrible. 2 weeks. You see, in a prison, it's for all prisoners. It's like the human rights violation of what they did to my brother was worse. Like it's in prison, it's like 12 hours in a cell and 12 hours outside. For Imran Khan, for 10 days, they did not let him out of his cell. There was no light, so he couldn't read. So that is torture. They tortured him. 3 weeks for the next 10 days, he was allowed out for maybe 1 hour. That's not how all other prisoners in jail, that's not their routine. So, I mean, the way they are trying to abuse him, to break him, he said, you can put me in prison for the rest of my life, but I will stand up for what I have fought for the past 30 years, is for the rule of law.
And what will you be doing now that you are out on bail? Because your brother Imran Khan does have several cases against him. Do you harbor hopes that he will be out of prison at any time soon?
No. I have maybe another 8 cases filed against me now. And I think I have to go and we are trying to find out where the cases are so that I can get bail again. But one of them, let me tell you, I've got a couple of cases of cybercrime. When I'm talking to you, and it's called anti-state, and that's cybercrime. I have cases of that on me too. So my speaking with you counts in the anti-state activity. If I name the military, that's terrorism. So I just named it that, yes, they are the ones who, it's called a 333 brigade, which came from Rawalpindi, and in pitch dark, that's who sort of fired into the crowd. So now what next can happen is, because I've said it on your television channel, that is reason enough for them to pick me up, and most probably they'll arrest me again.
And are you willing to face prison again, given what has happened in the past?
I think the situation is so tragic right now that all of us have to play a role. If we speak up and that means prison, then we'll face it. After my brother can sit in prison for 1.5 years, and what is the offer? If you keep quiet, stay away from inciting people, the word is incitement, you can leave the country, or you can sort of, I don't know, do nothing, basically. Just don't say anything. So people have a right to speak for their rights. It's one of the constitutional rights in Pakistan's constitution. We have a right to protest. It's given to us by our constitution. And we have a right to democracy, and every human being has a right to the rule of law. So if we don't stand up for this, what will happen to our next generation? We are fighting for our survival.
Okay, Aleema Khan, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the channel.